Hello, Stitchy friends. Today is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. This is Flosstube number 45, and you have stumbled upon the Runner Stitcher. My name is Andrew, and this is my channel where I talk primarily about my cross-stitch journey. Typically, I'm joined by my dog, Winston, and he is sleeping under the covers in his bed right now. So I guess he was too tired to film the video today. I don't know if he'll make an appearance or not, but he is sleeping soundly, so he's doing well, just might not be in the video today. He's right here beside me. Oh, I think he's coming out of his covers. You want to come say hi, Winston? Come here. Come here. I guess he wanted to say hello afterwards. You want to say hi to everybody? Oh, yeah, kisses. He was sleeping soundly under the covers, but I guess he heard me filming the video. So anyway, yeah, welcome. Sorry, that was a chaotic intro. This is my channel where I talk primarily about my cross-stitch journey and also a little bit about running and kind of ways to mix the two together. So if you're here for cross-stitch or for running, I hope you enjoy what you see. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by to check me out. I hope you enjoy what you see. If you do all the YouTube things, hit like, subscribe, and yeah, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. The community that I've built with all of you guys has been really wonderful, and your support and kindness has just been wonderful. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming back week after week to see what I've been up to and spend a little time with me. So this week I'm going to start by talking a little bit about running, and that's because I had a race this weekend, which I had mentioned. So I had the Spud Run. This is the shirt I got, which is this fun color blue, and then it has this like potato plant here. Yes, you want to see the shirt too? So that was fun. A very cool color for the race. They had a 5K and a 10K, as well as a challenge where you ran both races. So I decided to participate in both races, and I ran the 10K at 7 a.m. and then the 5K at 8:30. So I'll try to be popping up some pictures here while I'm talking about it. But it was a really nice day for the race. It was a little warmer, especially for the 5K that started at 8:30. By then the sun had come out and it was kind of, yeah, just really, really hot and humid. But the 10K actually felt pretty nice. The course was great. It was along back roads of kind of farmland of cabbage fields, which was really cool. So lots of open space and so much cabbage. I don't think I've ever seen that much cabbage all in one place. But what was kind of fun with the races, in addition to the medal that we got, they gave every runner a head of cabbage and a bag of potatoes. I'll put a picture up here of me holding both of those things. But that was kind of a fun, unique thing for this race that, yeah, I've never had that happen to me before. I got free vegetables at the race. But it was a really nice time. I will go ahead and show my medal. This is the medal for the 10K, and it is this cute potato, which is perfect for Spud Run. Sorry about the glare. There we go. But it's this cute potato, which I thought was awesome. And then the lanyard here is where it says Spud Run 10K on it. And the 5K medal, unfortunately, it is the exact same. So it's the same medal. The only difference is the 5K lanyard here, which was a little bit disappointing, but I did think there'd be two different medals for the two races, but it's totally fine. I think this one is super cute anyway, and so it is what it is. But I love the potato medal finish and had a really good time. So my total time, they combined the time for both races. So my total time was 1 hour and 16 minutes and 27 seconds to run both the 10K and the 5K. And there were 73 people total who ran both races. And out of those 73, I came in 20th place. So not too bad. 20 out of 73. And I think there were a few different age brackets where they broke it down and they were giving awards to the top 3 in your age bracket. And I finished 4th in all the races. So in the 5K, in the 10K, and in the overall, I was 4th. So just missed the awards, but that's okay. So had a good time. My parents came and cheered me on, and saw me at the finish line. My mom got some good pictures of me running, and Winston was there too. He was cheering me on, and by the time we got back, he was exhausted. I think it was just too much stimulation seeing all the runners and looking for me. But we had a really good time. So that was a very fun race. I had never done that one before, and it was nice to try something new and kind of get the miles in with some other people. So along the lines, that was my running for the week. So along the lines of running, I wanted to talk about the challenge that I mentioned last week. And I'm super excited because so many of you said you would be interested in joining in the challenge. I didn't know if anybody would be interested or not, but it definitely seemed like there is some interest there, and that makes me very happy. So I would like to move forward with this challenge. I am going to use the hashtag for this challenge, WIP into shape. WIP into shape, which I thought was fun. So if you've got a whip that you need to whip into shape, maybe pull it out for this challenge, and we'll see how many stitches we can get on it for the challenge. If you did not see last week's video, the challenge is basically to stitch 10 stitches for every mile that I run during my marathon training, which will start on Monday, May 5th. So we've got 1 week until training starts. Now on Monday, May 5th, it is actually a rest day. So no miles that day. So your first day is an easy one to check off. So technically Tuesday, May 6th will be the first day of running and stitching. But yeah, so the challenge is it will run from May 5th until the end of August, until August 31st. And yeah, you can either stitch 10 stitches for every mile that I run, or I'm also going to be including the amount of time that I run. So if you don't count your stitches, or if you don't have a way to count your stitches, you can still participate and you could still stitch the amount of time that I'm running each day. So if that's 30 minutes, then you'll do 30 minutes of stitching that day. But just kind of another way to kind of keep track of what you're doing. So yeah, the goal is to pick one project that you want to see work on the entire time. Now, of course, if you want to play along a little differently, feel free to make it your own. But the idea would be to pick one piece and have that be your marathon training piece and whip it into shape and get some progress on it. So for me, I am going to be participating, and I chose my piece to be Fruits of Plenty. I know how much everybody loves that, and everybody was sad to sort of see it go away when I finished the last rotation with it. And I still have plenty of work to do on it. Plus, it's also an easier piece for me to kind of pull out and get a few amount of stitches in without it being too time consuming. So Fruits of Plenty is going to be my hashtag whip into shape piece, which is exciting. And yeah, so I'm super, super happy that you guys are excited to join in. I am going to put in a little video here that sort of talks about the spreadsheet I created. This will be a public link that you'll have access to. I'm going to put the link here in the video description below. I'm also going to try to put it somewhere on my Instagram profile, possibly. But it will be a way for you to just kind of see what running I'm doing and how many stitches you're supposed to do each day. So before I get into that, I'm just going to go ahead and pop in the video for that here. I wanted to share with you a little bit about the spreadsheet that you'll be seeing to help you with marathon stitching. So you'll see up here at the top, we've got our category, Whip into Shape, Marathon Stitching, and then each little section here will be each week. So at the top, you'll see we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's how the training week runs for running. So it might be a little confusing not starting it on Sunday but this week will start on Monday. Then we've got the date right underneath it, so you know which day of the month it is. And then we've got the number of miles in the next column that I am projected to run. Now, when it's gray like this just means that is the planned schedule. Obviously, as things may need to change, if I have to switch a run or switch a day, that could update, but that's the projected amount that we'll have. The next column is complete. If this box is checked, then that means I have completed that day's running or rest days. And then the final row here is the amount of time that it took me to run that. So if I ran these 3 miles, you'll see this checkbox and the time that I ran it in. Once I fill all of this out and check the box, it will automatically calculate how many stitches you need to stitch for that day. And then over here in column I, we've got the weekly total. So it will show, as I run, it will show the total number of miles I've run so far for the week. It'll show the total amount of time that I've run for the week, and it'll show the total amount of stitches that you are supposed to do for the week. Then over here at the end, we've got K through M. This is going to calculate your miles, stitches, and total time of the entire training program. So if you get behind or you need to catch up, this will have the totals here for you to look at. I decided to include stitches, which you're stitching 10 stitches for every mile that I run. Some people mentioned that they don't have a way to really count their stitches, or that's not as easy for them to count. So I also am including the amount of time that I'm running, in case you would rather, instead of counting stitches, if you'd rather say you'll stitch for the amount of time I run each day, or the total amount of times that will be in there. So let's just look at what this might look like as the week progresses. So if I complete, let's say Tuesday the 6th, I complete those 3 miles, I'll check this box and it'll automatically calculate in 30 stitches that you need to do for that day. It'll increase our weekly total to 30, and you'll see in the totals column here, we've got 3 miles, 30 stitches, that is the total. Once I run it, I will include how long it took me to run. So we'll say this one took me 30 minutes, and you'll see that updates as well in the weekly total and in the total overall. So then if I complete Wednesday, May 7th, let's say I run those 6 miles, and let's say I do it in 40 minutes, you'll see the total weekly column has adjusted now to 1 hour and 10 minutes, and the weekly stitches required has increased to 90. So this will be basically your guide of what you're supposed to stitch each day. I plan to be updating this by noon Eastern time every day. So you should see then whether or not things changed. For example, I may have to switch, just because of my schedule, I may have to switch Thursday, May 8th and Friday, May 9th. So I will just make this a rest day and put this as 4 miles. And you'll see that reflected once I complete the runs. I'm also, just for ease of things, once I complete it and check it off in the box, I'm also going to just change the background to green, so you know that that has been completed, that those days are done for me, and those are the days you can stitch. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. This is a view-only document, so it's not a way necessarily for you to track or keep track of your stitches. It's just sort of a way for you to check in, see how many stitches you need to do for the day, and kind of keep track of the totals. And then on your own, you can kind of find a way to keep track of how many stitches you've got, if that makes sense. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you really enjoy this. I'm super excited that people want to stitch along with my training schedule. And yeah, let's pull out a project and whip it into shape. Okay, so I hope that helped clear up a little bit what you'll be able to see. Again, that spreadsheet is not something that you'll be able to edit or sort of manipulate on your own, but it's something that you'll be able to log in each day and just sort of see what the changes are, what miles have been added, what the total miles are, and you can sort of have a way to keep track of your stitches and how much you've completed as you go on your own. But it'll be a sort of your master sheet of how much you're supposed to be stitching along with the totals. So if you have any questions with any of this, please let me know. And I would love it if you are joining in the challenge, and if you are posting online, if you use the hashtag #WhipIntoShape. And also I would love it if you took a picture of your project at the very beginning. So if you could take a sort of starting image, and then at the very end of the challenge, we'll take a finish image, and we'll get to see all the progress that everybody has made on those pictures. So yeah, if you remember, please take a beginning starting photo of wherever you are on the project. If it's a new project, just take a picture of the blank fabric. And if it's one that is already a work in progress, then just take a picture of where you are, and we'll get that started. So again, that begins on Monday, May 5th, which is a rest day for me. So technically it begins Tuesday, May 6th, which will be my next video. So when I come here next week, we will get that challenge started, and yeah, I think it should be a lot of fun. So I hope you'll join in if you can. All right, I think that's all the housekeeping. So let's jump into what I did this week. All right, this week I had a total of 4,154 stitches, which was a great stitching week for me, especially with having the race on the weekend and we went to the beach the other day. We had a pool day. It just was a very busy time, so I'm super happy to have over 4,000 stitches in for the week. And yeah, that was a good week for me. So I don't have any new starts. I don't have any finishes. So let's just jump into my WIPs, which are my works in progress. And the first one, let's start with temperature stitching. So the first one I've got for you is Autumn is as Joyful. This is by Lila Studio. And here is what it's going to look like in the end. It is this beautiful, beautiful Quaker. I know you all have seen a lot of this. There's a lot of people who started it in the fall. Samantha, the Higa Stitcher, she started a stitch along, which is actually around the time that I started it to join in with that. And it's such a fun piece. So I will put a video in here of where I was when I started. All right, this is my starting point for Autumn is Joyful this week. I'm going to continue working on this center big motif and we'll see where I get. All right, and here is where I was able to get to. So I have been working on this Quaker motif here, and as you'll see, I completed the inner circle around the sort of border of the Quaker, and then I also got into the flowers that are there, and hopefully you're seeing this pretty close up, but these are the beautiful flowers in the center. That will be mirrored on the bottom as well, and then there's more flowers on the side too. But this was a total of 353 stitches just to complete that inner border and to do those flower stitches. It was called for 3 days, and that puts me at 13.73% on this piece. So I am stitching this on a 40 count Winter's Brew by R&R Reproductions, and I'm stitching it with the Vicki Clayton silk conversion, which they're amazing. I love them. So here's where I'm at so far, still in this upper left corner, and yeah, so still really enjoying it. This is, I think, probably the largest Quaker in the piece, so it'll be nice to sort of get that done and out of the way, and then I'll get into more of the little fun motifs as well. But I'm hoping that with temperature stitching in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to finish this big Quaker. So really, really fun. All right, the next piece I've got for you is Put a Burn on It. This is by Modern Folk Embroidery, and here is what this is going to look like in the end. This is also a stitch along. This is hosted by EJ of the Sunshine Stitchers. Both EJ and Sheila are stitching it as well, and I wanted to join in and see if I could get it done in this year. So this is a cover image of what the piece looks like. Mine is a little different since I'm stitching it monochromatically, well, with one variegated floss, and so it looks a little different, but I'll put a video in here of where I was when I started. All right, here's my starting point for Put a Burn on It for this week. I am going to continue on this motif up here and see if I can finish at least some of it. So you'll see it soon. And here is where I got to. So this week, I think I completed this motif right here. I think I had the outer border done last time, but I was able to complete the entire motif. I think I also added in this P, actually. So I completed this letter and this motif. That was a total of 242 stitches. It was called for 2 days of temperature stitching, and that puts me at 52.89% on this piece. So here is what it looks like so far. Sorry about try to hold it against my shirt as like a dark background. But yeah, this is the color. It's stitched on a 32 count tartan green linen, which is not the most comfortable to stitch on, but the final image is looking so great. I love how this yellow floss pops on the green fabric. And this is a Bestitch Me silk. It's in the colorway Dandelion. And you can see here the different colors. It goes all the way from sort of a bright yellow to a pale yellow, almost white, to even there's some darker spots that kind of look a little brown. But the end result, I'm absolutely loving. It's not the easiest to stitch on, as I've said many times, but I'm super happy with it. It definitely felt like a piece that was a risk with this bright yellow floss and this green fabric, but I'm super happy with how it's turning out. It is what I hoped it would be, and it reminds me kind of like spring dandelion colors. Just fun. So yeah, so that is the piece so far. And that will keep coming out for temperature stitching. Okay, and my final temperature stitching piece is the Witch Whip piece that you chose, and that is Garden Surprise. This is a kit from Designs for the Needle, and I'm using all the kit materials except for the fabric. I think it came with a 14 count white fabric, and I swapped mine out for an 18 count sort of minty green fabric. I don't think I have I think I forgot to take a video of where I was when I started this one. So I'll see if I can find a picture and pop it in here. But I was able to add in 305 stitches. This was only called for 2 days, so it only should have gotten 200 stitches, but I was working on it one evening and I just kind of got in the zone and kept going. So got a little bit more than I needed to, but I'm now at 40.08% on this piece. And all I did this time was basically fill in some of this watering can. So you might not see too much, but I added a little bit over here and brought this down further here. I think I added some stitches over on this side as well. But that was 300 stitches. That watering can is a pretty big chunk. So you might not see too much, but yeah, I made progress on it. So it's exciting because I think over here I'm getting close to where the second mouse's ears begin, so I could start that. And then over here I'm also getting to where I could start the green and purple flowers that are here sort of at the bottom. But this is Garden Surprise. And the color of the fabric, it is pretty true to what you're seeing. It's maybe a little bit brighter, a little bit mintier green, but yeah, she's super cute. I just love her. I'm so glad that she came back out for more stitches because I did want to get some more progress on her. So that will be fun. And it's still spring, so still counts. All right, those were my pieces for temperature stitching. Then next up, I've got Saga for you. And this is a piece by Long Dog Samplers. And here is what it's going to look like in the end. It's a huge piece. I'm on the third arch from the top. And just, yeah, making my way. So I will put a video in here of where I was when I started. Okay, here is my starting point for Saga this week. I'm going to work at continuing this arch here at the bottom. And if I complete that, then I'll jump back up to here and start working on the next frame of the arch. So you'll see it now. And here is where I got to this time. So you will see I have now completed this arch on the bottom. So I completed the submarine except for the final number of the year. So I left that big block in the center of the submarine there. I did realize though that means I have to finish it in the 2020s. So if I don't finish it in 2028, I've only got one more year that I can kind of stretch this out. But I think I'll finish it by 2028. Anyway, I left the year blank. I finished all of those sort of sea plants at the bottom of the ocean and carried that all the way across. I also completed that sort of checkerboard pattern that goes across the bottom of that arch. And yeah, that pretty much completes that whole arch. So I think this next time now I will begin pulling the kind of structure of the arch over to this side here to work on the second one. But that is Ivy and her lovely submarine that she's in love with, if you heard the story a couple videos ago, and that arch is complete. So here is what Saga looks like. Oops, hold on. Sorry about the glare. Here is what Saga looks like so far. I'll hide it behind me. It is such a stunning piece. I am stitching this on a 36 count vintage country mocha, and I'm using the Silks For You PR207, 1 strand over 2 linen threads. It's getting really large for me to share on this video, which is super exciting. It means I'm making progress, but also means just harder to kind of share and show. But that is Saga. So super exciting to still be on track. I got in 551 stitches since you last saw it, and that puts me at 34.29%. All right, I'm gonna grab a quick drink of coffee. And let's jump into my focus piece for the week. So my focus piece, I let my mom choose this week because I had sort of a free week before my May plans started up. And I said to my mom, which whip that I have here would you like me to work on? And she was so impressed and excited by the progress I got on Bee Queen last week that she chose to keep Bee Queen going for another week. So that is what I made my focus piece this week. And this is a piece by the Tiny Modernist called the Bee Queen. She is just beautiful, and she's been so much fun to stitch. I'm really excited with the progress I've been making on her. I will put a video in here of where I was when I started. Here is my starting point for the Bee Queen for this week. We will see how much I get done in the second focus week. And since the last time you saw it, I was able to add in 2,703 stitches, which was a pretty good stitching week for the focus piece. And here is where I am now. So you'll see the main part of what I worked on is the bottom of her dress here. So I added in all of the details that are in this lighter middle section of the dress. I completed this sunflower and these two sort of side flowers. I brought down these flowers here on either side, completed this all the way down to the bottom section of the flower. And then I also started on the beehive that's in the center. I did not have a chance to finish the beehive, but that dress is no joke. There's a lot of stitches in there. And again, I've been using my technique that is basically running a couple needles at the same time. And I am super happy with how this turned out. I think my stitches look really nice, even in this section where there's a design in a full coverage part. It kind of makes me really excited to get back to full coverage because I really enjoy doing this with the multiple needles. I'm trying to sort of fine tune that technique and see how I can use it in other pieces as well. But it's been really enjoyable for me to sort of see it all come together row by row with this technique. And I really do think the stitches look nice, which I never thought mine did before in a section like that, where I had to sort of either do everything in the middle first and then outline around it. There was always stitches that sort of sat higher or lower. And by running multiple needles at the same time, I just don't really get that effect as much, which I like. I also completed, I think this bee had been started but not finished, so that bee is done. Completed this flower here, added these two flowers, and then I also, on both sides, completed these beautiful flowers here as well. But this piece is just wonderful. My mom really loves the colors on it, and I think that's why she kept it going and wanted to see more progress on it, which I'm glad she did because I'm super happy with where I was able to get to on it. But the details we were saying on this piece, like if you just look in her crown, look at that little bee that's on her crown. That is beautiful charting. And not to mention that, but even all the different flowers. So you'll see that those pink and red flowers, they're only using 2 colors of floss. So this one here, it's got sort of pink on the outside and then reddish on the inside. Well, then here you've got the red on the outside and the pink on the inside. And then here you've got sort of a mixture of both. But she's able to take those 2 colors and chart different flowers and really make them feel like unique flowers, if that makes sense. So just really impressive with that. My mom also really likes the honey pot here, which I think is super adorable too. And she loves the bees that are flying about. So yeah, this is stitched on a 16 count Aida called in the colorway Oyster, which is the called for color, but I think they stitched it on a 28 count in the model picture. So I went with a 16 count Aida and really loving it. I love the coverage I'm getting on this Aida. I love, it's just been really nice. So I'm going to once again just show you my back for this dress part, just because there is a lot of color change in this dress that you'll see. And although it's not quite as neat as maybe this side was, it's still a very neat back for all of those different colors coming in. And I think really that has to do with the fact that I'm using multiple needles at the same time. So really just makes for a neat back. And I know no one is going to see the back, so it really doesn't matter if you don't want to have a neat back, you don't have to. But I just think it makes it easier to kind of find the holes that you're coming up in and not have too much thread kind of carrying around. And it just kind of makes it easier to stitch, in my opinion. So I really have been enjoying this method. But yeah, so that is The Bee Queen by Tiny Modernist. And those are my whips for the week. So let's jump into plans, and I've got a lot of plans. So the first one is temperature stitching, and I will go ahead and put in a picture here of what my chart looks like for the week. So what is called for this week is Put a Bird on It will have 3 days, so that will get 300 stitches. Autumn is Joyful will get 2 days, that's 200 stitches, and Garden Surprise will also get 2 days for 200 stitches. So that is my goal for temperature stitching for this week. Then we also got our WIPGO numbers. WIPGO is a game created by Jessie Marie at Jessie Marie Does Stuff, and she calls 2 numbers on a bingo board each month, and you can kind of randomly assign projects to that board, and then you work on what is called for in that month. So for me, this time she called numbers 19 and number 5. Number 19 is Put a Bird on It, which actually works out pretty well because I have that here in Florida. So that's a good thing. And number 5 is Gaia, the Earth Goddess. So for my WIPGO, I don't have a number of stitches set on the board, but I do have a tiny decisions wheel that helps me choose how many stitches to put on both of those projects. So we've got to go ahead and spin that wheel now to see how many stitches we're getting on both Put a Bird on It and hopefully Gaia once I get back to New York and can work on her. So the first one will be for Put a Bird on It, and let's see how many stitches that requires. Sorry about the glare here. Okay, 1900 stitches for Put a Bird on It. That is a big number, but that's okay. That's good. That will get me some real good progress on that piece. So Put a Bird on It will have 1900 stitches, and let's spin again here and see what we get for Gaia. 1800. Okay, so this is a bigger WIPGO month. So 1800 for Gaia and 1900 for Put a Bird on It. I will go ahead and put in a picture here of the WIPGO chart just so you can see sort of everything with those numbers in it. And that's my goal for May. So I will get that started here in a couple days. I can't believe it's almost May already. I don't know where April went. I feel like March was kind of a long month, and then April just flew by, and here we are in May. It's almost the start of summer, which basically means it's Christmas and the end of the year. Not quite, but you get what I mean. Okay, so that is my WIPGO plans, and then I talked about this last week as well, but my other plans for May are my Maynia 500. This is where I'm going to try to touch as many of my whips as I can in the month of May, and I'm going to do that by spinning a wheel, and whatever project it chooses, I'm going to stitch on it until I get 500 stitches. And then once I get 500, I'm going to put it away and spin the wheel and start on the next project and kind of see how many I can rotate through in the month of May. Now, since I'm still here in Florida at the beginning of the month and I don't have all my projects with me, I've only got, I think, 6 or 7 here, I'm going to start just by going through those projects first. I'll still be spinning the wheel, but obviously I don't have my full whip rotation here. And then once I get back to New York, then I will add in all the rest of the projects, and the rest of the month we will kind of go through those as we can. So to tie in my WIPGO plans with my Maynia 500 plans, what I decided is that when I get to Put a Bird on It or Gaia the Earth Goddess, I'm going to just stitch on those pieces until I get a total of the WIPGO call plus 500 stitches. So for Put a Bird on It, since it was called for 1900 stitches, whenever that is called, I'm going to work on it for 2400 stitches, and then I will switch to the next project. And I think I'll be able to complete Put a Bird on It with the rest of the rotation while I'm still here in Florida. And then Gaia hopefully will come up in May. If it doesn't, I might just have to sneak that in and get those stitches in for WIPGO. But because May 1st is this coming Thursday, and I will be starting Maynia 500 at that point, I want to go ahead and spin the wheel with you now so we know what project is the first one that will get 500 stitches. So I've got my little tiny decisions wheel here of all the whips that I have here in Florida, and I'm going to go ahead and spin it, and we'll see what I get first. Okay, Autumn Quaker is the first one. So that will be the first piece that I work on for Maynia 500, and I will work on that until I get 500 stitches in. So that is very exciting. And then once that is complete, I will film a video on my own, and I'll pop it into next week's video just so you can see all of the spins and what order things get called for. So that is exciting to get that going. Again, as I said, I will also be starting my marathon training, hashtag whip into shape. And that piece will be Fruits of Plenty, which is here. This is by Modern Folk Embroidery. And so I will be using this piece. I will take a picture of this as my starting point for the piece. And I will be using this piece to stitch along with the, marathon stitching. So it should be fun. That again will begin next Tuesday, will be the first day of stitching. All right, and I think that's everything for the week. I hope I didn't forget anything. Felt like there was a lot to talk about, or at least share with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the update. And come back next week to see the start on both marathon stitching and Maynia 500 and all the fun goodness that comes. I hope you're all enjoying lovely spring weather. We've had really, really great weather here in Florida. There were a couple of days where it was starting to get humid and hot, and that's kind of a key that it's time to go back to New York for me. But for the most part, it has just been lovely, and it's been really enjoyable to be here in spring again. It's surprising how many different animals and birds we see here in my parents' neighborhood, but we've seen deer, we've seen turtles, we've seen bunnies, we've seen raccoons, we've seen armadillos, you name it, and they've been around. And it's just been really fun to sort of be in nature and see those animals again and to hear all the different birds. They have so many cardinals down here, which is just lovely. Every day when we're walking Winston at lunchtime, we almost always see a cardinal, either the male that's with the bright red or even the female with the more muted colors. But they're just beautiful. We also saw a woodpecker the other day up in the tree. We heard it and we could actually see where it was in the tree, and that's been fun. So I hope you're enjoying the spring energy that's kind of coming and nature coming alive and all the birds and everything. It's been really lovely. But I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're doing what you can to stay sort of sane and happy and to get through the times that we're going through right now. But keep running if you're a runner. Always keep stitching and be kind to whoever you meet on your journey. Bye for now. Until the next stitch.